welcome. It's an Egyptian group, so I don't know if anyone would be interested.
Let me,
But yeah, I mean, I just tried to, send it to the few people that I could send it to. Um, but
we
anyway, yeah.
should be. Let me just check on my own channels to see if we are live. Mm, just to see this, my friend. We should be live. All
Okay,
right.
let's
No
see.
viewers, but I think that's fine. And then if someone comes in, let's see what we'll talk about. I'll record this. Let me just record this. Where do I do this?
Make sure the recording is from your end, because yeah.
Oh, it's disabled right live.
Does it have to be recorded from
It'll be recorded.
StreamYard? Or...
It will be recorded on YouTube, I think.
Yeah, that
It
would be
should
fine
not.
because
If not,
recording it on
yes.
StreamYard would make it could use some upload speed and that could make my internet slower. I don't know. It happened before with me, so if
I
it's
think that's fine. It'll be on YouTube.
yeah,
Okay.
so let's just keep it on YouTube. Yeah.
So welcome to the first episode of the Hall of Famous, or also known as Unethical Hoops with Drago and Bulletproof. This is Amir's idea. He wanted to rank each a player's season against their other seasons. So Amir, how about you tell us a little bit about this idea before we get started?
Yeah, so the basis of the idea was I was trying to think of a formula for like longevity because I think longevity is a bit of a main talking point in every argument these days, and I was not really a fan of it as a talking point, but I know it's important. So if we're going to talk about it, then how about we have like a formula for it? So my idea was to get the seasons of every player, to rank those seasons, and to use notes about like the games they missed that year because the number of games matter, not just the performance. Because it's longevity, you're talking about the availability of the player as well. Like that's important. Uh, so I was thinking about it to see like who had more great years, not just who stayed good for long, because I think that is confusing a bit. Some players, their primes like are across like 15, 16 years, but they have a lot of off years in the middle, whether for injuries or whatever reason. Others have a more compact prime, but it ends like as soon as like they just fall once. So that makes it difficult. Um, that's why I thought like I think the main reason I thought about it was the Shaq versus Tim Duncan thing because Shaq, he had a downfall and he never recovered, whereas Tim Duncan, he kept declining and then he had like one great season in 2013, and then people think okay he was great until 2013. So that's probably the trigger because I don't think Tim Duncan had better longevity than Shaq. Uh,
Exactly. So a
yeah,
main idea is we want to also examine the middle years and not just the where you good in your last year, and then everything into that you are just way better because you have guys like Tim Duncan where you see a kind of fall off when we get to 2008, 2007, 2009, where he then becomes a little better later in his career, and I think that's a very important thing. We have chosen to look at two players, which are Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird, which I think those two players are obviously very connected, seeing that they played basically the same time in the league for their whole career, and they played against each other in finals matchups, and they had one of the most known rivalry in NBA history. So we're going to start with Magic Johnson here, and I will just give a quick how we'll do it is we'll just start in his rookie year in 79-80, and we'll rank each following season. Is it better or worse than the seasons we've already ranked? So I want to start us off here with Magic. My notes on Magic, especially in his rookie year, is he's a player that is very much driving his value through his passing. In his rookie year, there is some let's see, statistics we have to mention. First of all, the main note here is that his head coach changes 14 games into the season from Jay McKinney to Paul Westhead, which
Hmm.
is very, it changes the play style a little bit and so on. In 1982 and 1979-80, Magic plays 77 games in the regular season, misses five. The Lakers end up winning the NBA championship, where he wins Finals MVP, and they win 60 games during the regular season.
Yeah.
So a little bit about Magic. He obviously drives a lot of his value through his passing. The in his specifically his earlier years, he is not a very aggressive scorer yet. Most of his offense comes through his teammates like Kareem creating his offense for him. I'll say in 1979-80, he obviously gets this one opportunity to play with no Kareem in the last game of the season, and he puts up 40 points, and he ends up winning a Finals MVP. I think most people
Hmm.
now know is not correct because Kareem was clearly their best player. Um, he is. You still see this very high passing value. He is not yet found out which pass he can and can't make as much as he would later. So there is some turnovers he gets where he maybe avoids them later on, and his scoring aggressiveness is not there yet. One main point, and I don't know if you agree with this, Amir, I see is that on defense he is playing power forward slash small forward, which is a very big issue in my opinion for him because he's not fast enough on his feet to cover point guard, so he can't really play point guard. He also played next to a point guard in Norm Nixon here early in his career, and because he plays the four or the three defensively in the 80s, that's a very big issue because he doesn't give any supplemental rim protection. His rebounding at the four and the three is not very impressive. So when he goes up against the 76ers, where it's Dr. J or I think it's Bobby Jones he goes up against or other fours, he ends up giving up a lot of ground in the rebounding game because he's not really a 4 on the 3 defensively. And because we see this with Jokic now, that when your 4, your 5 is a bad defender, that's very destructive to your defense in a sense because it's so hard to make up for compared to if it's just your 1. So that's my main point. What do you think, Emil, about this rookie matchup?
Okay. So about this point, about the defense specifically, I think first of all, it's his rookie season, and of course, like most players in league history are bad defenders in their rookie years. So I'm not gonna like, especially because they won a championship too. So like, how detrimental could it have been if a rookie was like the second best player on a championship team? Yes, he was not a good defender, but I don't think it hurt them as much in the like in the grand scheme of things because yeah, sure, like I wouldn't put him on a point guard, and that makes sense because of his size. I mean, he was playing with Norm Nixon, and they had other players that could cover like on the ball better than him, and that makes more sense. Generally, when you have um, a better like perimeter defender, you put them on the ball rather than have this oversized player who isn't that quick. So it happens even today when you have like a Luca, for example. He doesn't defend the ball as much. Um, they usually have someone else do that for him. James Harden, same thing. They used to put like Patrick Beverly with him in the Rockets. So it happened a lot, like throughout history, when you have a point guard who's not really a regular shape point guard, you put another defender next to him, and Norm Nixon was good. And yeah, he was not good. I mean, he was a rookie. He wasn't a good defender. I mean, Magic, but I don't think it was destructive enough because they ended up winning a championship. So how bad could it have been if he could play all of these minutes and they still won? That means yes, it was bad on the individual level, but I don't think it was destructive enough because, like I said, when
No,
you have a rookie who is like
we're
good enough
still
to
not.
play that much,
because we're in the 80s, we're still not in the we're not in the 2010s where one defender will just get hunted every play. So it's not really, it's not as destructive as maybe you see as a Luka or sometimes Jokic in some matchups can be today. But I do think it is a very valid thing to notice in that, yeah, he's a big point guard, but he's not really playing point guard for them on
That makes
defense. He's
sense.
playing the four
Uh,
and the three.
would you put him on the point guard? I mean,
No,
no one
no,
would.
I wouldn't, which is the
That's-
big issue for him. And he's not even on offense. He's not even playing point guard that much right now because no Nixon does it.
he's a- yeah, he's like a point forward at that point of his career. And
Yeah,
it was like I said, it's the valid thing. If you have an oversized player who is basically handling the ball more, but isn't as good a defender because he's more of a static playmaker. I mean, Magic even in his prime wasn't really, um, like a traditional point guard. He was, yes, he was making a lot of assists, but traditional, I mean, like he wasn't traditional. He was like a point four. He played like LeBron. He played like Scottie Pippen. His way of playing was more of the point forward. Even when he's listed as a point guard,
yeah,
he
he
had
is.
like in his prime, he had like Michael Cooper, Byron Scott. These guys were defending the ball as well. Like it's not just the Nixon years, even later on. So I think it's the smart thing to do to put him off the ball as a defender. And in that era, being an off-ball defender, you could be hidden in the defense because they didn't have a lot of shooters, a lot of like shooters roaming around, and so you could hide him in the defense as a wing and not be and he won't be destructive to your defense. So
Yeah,
that's why I think,
he's
generally speaking, it wasn't very detrimental. But on the individual level, yeah, compared to other players, of course, as a rookie, I would agree he was not a good defender.
yeah, he's still like he's obviously still a very very good offensive player. Through he is from the day he entered the NBA until his very last day. He pushed the ball in transition every chance he got, and the Lakers, to me, we'll get to this when we get to the mid '80s. But they
Is
always
anyone
push.
watching, by the way? Is anyone watching yet, or do we still have
Two
zero
two
viewers?
viewers, I think it'll come. We'll just stay live. I think this is the first episode. We'll see. But
Okay.
let's get to 1981. I'll just timestamp this. So let's get to 1981. The major thing here is that he misses. He misses. He misses. Let me see how many. Magic end up missing 45 games in the regular season due to a knee injury, which obviously hurts the Lakers in the regular season, and they end up winning. Let me see. They end up winning 54 games and get swept in the first round versus Moses Malone and the Houston Rockets. And they still have Paul Westhead as the coach. He will get
Mhm.
changed in the next year. More on that later. But what do you think of 1981 Magic? Amir?
I mean, he got injured. I think if you watched like the series that they did, the Winning Time series, they covered that story. It was, I think, affecting his placing in the league. Like he was watching Larry Bird playing and stuff. It was a fun thing to watch, but of course it's dramatized and stuff. But he said it's a bit like that part. He talked about it when you're that young and you had such a great start of your career, like winning Finals MVP with that performance. Of course, like even if we say that I mean Kareem was better, but he still played great in the finals and he played great in the game in the championship clinching game. So he was on top of the world on day one, and then he gets injured in his sophomore season, and his team struggles. So now, like, okay, like when he's out, he's losing his place in the league a bit, but at the same time, his team is not like they got swept, if I remember right. They got
Yeah,
swept.
they get swept in
Yeah,
3 games.
so that also keeps his standing a bit because now we know his value. Like they cannot play that well without him, and uh,
Yeah, he
yeah,
returned before the
he
playoffs.
returned. he
played in,
returned, but he was, yeah. I mean, in
he
the,
was hampered a bit.
yeah,
And
he returned right at the playoffs because I think he was advised, if the story in the series was true, I think he was advised not to return. I think, but he insisted. I think he returned through injury. He was not supposed to, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong. Um, but yeah, like I said, he that was a down season, of course, and this is part of the reason I came up with this idea because 45 games missed is a lot of games, and that makes the season pretty much invalid for a player. So I don't know how well he played when he played like before the injury. I know he was good, but I mean compared to his rookie season, I didn't watch a lot of games from both years. But uh, losing 45 games is a lot of games. So
I think it's going to be pretty comfortable that this is going to rank below his rookie season and probably everything but that 96 season where he came back, because missing 45 games is a lot of value to lose for a regular
that's
season.
that's my point. Yeah.
And I also, to my eye, when I watched this some of this playoff series versus the Rockets, he is again playing more 3 and 4, where I maybe think his correct position is more the 2, because when he has to guard power forwards, he very often gets overwhelmed on the boards, which also happens here. He is not yet playing point guard on offense. I'm maybe it sounds like I'm saying Magic Johnson is not a good player when he's not playing the point guard, which that's not what I'm saying. He's still a top 10ish player. Um and on offense, he is still one of the best offensive players in the leagues through his transition almost alone, because he pushes pace so well, and when as soon as he gets the ball, he's looking to get down. And I'll tease that for a little bit later, but he is one of the best transition players ever, and he still is in his early days. He gets still his offense through teammates creating these opportunities, him catching. He's not yet developed that post game that he would later, but
Mhm.
I think this is easy to rank below his rookie year.
Yeah, just
So
out of like availability alone, we would.
availability. Also, I don't feel like he was that much of a different player. So even if he had played the same number of games, I'd probably still have this below, because in his rookie year, he obviously had that game 6 that really dragged that up and showed that scoring game. If we could talk a little bit about that, like in that, it's not that like that he's just going one on one against people, taking people into the post like he would later. It is more really looking in transition, not waiting for Kareem, always looking to attack in that one game 6, famously against Philly in his rookie year.
Yeah,
It
and
is,
by the way, yeah, go on. Go on.
yeah, it is still not breaking down the defense one on one. It's more taking advantage of advantages already created by a teammate or
Mhm.
in transition. But I'll digress to 82, and in 80, I'll just put these in here.
To his credit, though, I want to say that being a transition player mainly in that era is actually very difficult because you don't have the shooters, you don't have the options. You're basically running on intuition because you have to make the decision in a split second without really knowing what options you're gonna have. So when you watch him go, like when you watch his transition plays, it always feels unpredictable compared to today. Like today, it's like one guy is running to the corner, the other guy is probably going coming behind you in case you're going to throw a lob, and then another guy is probably going to be on like the other side. It's you have like these predictable options, and teams memorize them, and like they know they cannot stop them unless they have the numbers. So if you're going like 3-on-2 in transition, you pretty much have a basket because of these options. But back then, you didn't have the option of shooters, but at the same time, he could somehow make a play that seems defendable, but he keeps making it and no one can defend it.
Yeah, he sees gaps in the defense that
Very
no one
tiny
else
gaps.
sees.
Like,
And it is tiny gaps. And it's something I actually because he has so much pace on the ball when he passes, like there's so much speed on it. But he also makes it look fancy. So even like sometimes his like entry passes look fancy. So I had to catch myself that okay, that was just an entry pass, let's say. Like he didn't just fire an open layup, like but it looked the same because he would put mustard on even passes that maybe wasn't wide open layups. But he is probably one of the passes you that puts the most speed on, like and just hits tiny holes that no one else could. So that is really. But I think when we get to 82 here in our the next year in 82 is Paul Westhead get fired about 15 games into the season, which is a huge change for Magic because now he's especially on first of all on the offense he has the ball more. In
mhm,
my opinion, he's playing more like a point guard. He's still sharing it with Norm Nixon, and Norm Nixon was listed as the point guard, but they shared it more. And Magic is playing the two defensively, which I think suits him a lot more, and
mhm.
it ended up helping take a lot of this defensive loss that I saw away from him.
Did they
One thing that
acquire
was
someone? Is it like Michael Cooper getting more minutes, or did they acquire someone new, or what?
I think just Pat Riley changed how they played a little bit. I think also getting Michael Cooper in more integrated, I think that helped. This is this is Michael Cooper's fourth season, and he began to start a little bit. He actually played less minutes in this year than he did in 1980-81. But I think Pat Riley just changing, and I think if you read some of the stories about it, Magic actually demanded that they got a different coach from Paul Westhead because he wanted to play like a point guard. He didn't want to play like a forward, and this is one of
Yeah,
the reasons they got Pat Riley in. And I think one of the things I must mention about this Lakers team is that the '80s Lakers are absurdly stacked,
yeah,
and the
greatest
talent
team of
on
all
this
time.
team is crazy. They
Yeah,
had former MVP Bob McAdoo come off the bench. He
yeah.
actually scored more like per possession this year than Magic did. Like Magic was the fifth highest per possession scorer on this team. And then they also had Michael Cooper coming off the bench, Norm Nixon starting, Kareem, Kurt Rambis started to play a little bit more for them, which I think you can make a lot of jokes about Kurt Rambis. He was a decent power forward in the
That
times.
was yeah, that was probably the reason. Maybe that's the reason. Like Magic now has less inside defensive responsibilities
They
because Kurt
also get
Rambis,
Jamal Wilkes is also like he's obviously also a Hall of Famer that ends up being
you
on
know,
this team.
former All Star as well.
Mitch Kupchak, did I?
Shout out
Yeah,
Mitch
not
Pau Gasol
yeah.
trade.
They also had Mark Landsberg play a little bit. They also have I think it's Eddie Jordan who played like 10 minutes a game for them. Made like no, it's not him. I can't remember who it was. They have let me see who it was. But they had someone coming off the bench for them that made like two all defensive teams in the. Yeah, it's Jim Brewer who played like 13 minutes a game, who made two all defensive team in the 70s.
That's
Like this
crazy.
team was stacked. They had a lineup out there with no Kareem and no Magic, with like three Hall of Famers and one former All Star and one all defensive former all defense player. This this
That's
is a
great. You
stacked
know,
team.
yeah, the 80s Lakers are probably the greatest team of all time in terms of like a dynasty that just keeps getting great players. Like when one leaves, another one comes. I think in his rookie season, they had also former All Star. What was his name? The guy who had to leave because of the drug scandal. Uh, I forgot his name. He was a great player as well. But he had to leave because of the
Uh,
drug scandal, and that's a former All Star as well. So they kept having former All Stars on the team, like both the Celtics and Lakers, but the Lakers even more so. So
But
yeah, that
Spencer
team.
Haywood Spencer Haywood is one of the
Yeah,
guys that
Spencer Hill. Yeah. Spencer Hill.
like played 20 minutes for them, and he won an ABA MVP, and he came fifth in NBA MVP voting in
Yeah.
like his rookie year. Like that, those teams were stacked. I don't know if you want to call them super teams because some people talk about that, like how the team is formed. This is one of the
Yeah,
best teams
it
of all
is a
time.
super team. This has
One
to
of
be a
the most
super team.
talented teams ever.
But
Like
it's
people
definitely
call,
successful. Yeah, it's a successful super team.
yeah, people call the Miami Heat of 2011 a super team. This team has way more talent than that team. They had like an 82 Kareem, still really good player. Magic is becoming a really good player. Wilkes, McAdoo is a former MVP coming off the bench. Norm Nixon, Michael Cooper made it to the Hall of Fame, won a Defensive Player of the Year coming off the bench. Like this team was stacked.
Yeah, but
But
this era, like the early '80s, were an era of super teams.
yeah,
They
with
had the Lakers,
the
Celtics, and Sixers all had like these three teams were some of the most talented teams of all time. They had the entire talent of the league in these three teams, basically. The
yeah,
rest
it
of
was
the
like
league wasn't.
three teams was had all the talent. And one of them had two top like 20 players, 20, 25 players of all time, relatively prime in Julius Irving and Moses. And then the last, it's the Celtics, who also had a former center MVP, Bill Walton, coming off the bench.
Yeah, and Dennis
This is not
Johnson as
even,
well.
I just wanted to make that point. And that is,
Dennis Johnson is a former Finals MVP, and he was their fourth best player. Like
Vernon Maxwell. Is that what you're talking about?
no, Dennis Johnson.
Oh, yeah,
Also,
Dennis Johnson.
he was
From Seattle.
with the Seattle SuperSonics when they
Yeah.
won, and he was also like compared to the rest of the team, he was a role player. Um, so that team also was stacked with players who are like overqualified for their roles.
Yeah. And I think this is one of the main points with Magic is a lot of ball dominant players you say don't fit. People say don't fit with the other talent because the other talent can have the ball. I don't think Magic fits in that category for one because the '80s talent beside Magic was all off-ball players. Like all of them were like really good off the ball, and Kareem is obviously a guy that fits so well with Magic because okay, we can get Magic to really push in transition. If we don't have anything in transition, we have the best post weapon of all time. We can just give the ball to, and he hits a skyhook at like 56% or something. And when we run in transition, we get layups at like I don't know a 120 offense rating, 125, 130 in transition, where the league average rating is like I don't know 108 or something. Like it's just such an advantage to be able to run that much like they did.
Hmm.
And all of this talent just fit very well with Magic, in my opinion. But let's get back to 82. So in 1982, just to get a little bit of the basics, Magic misses 4 games, so nothing really to speak of. His assists actually go up from, let me get the 100 per 100 position, go up from 10.8 the previous year to 11.6 this year. I do think that's an indication that he started to be way more on the ball. It will go up further in the next coming years, where he's playing more and more point guard, where
Yeah.
his assists obviously a direct correlation with that.
Hmm.
He yeah, they end up winning the championship in 1982 with him winning the Finals MVP again. This is also a bit of a contested Finals MVP, less than the 1981. The one in 1980 is what I mean. But I would say, to my eye, this is better than both the previous year we talked about because he's
Yeah, I
playing more,
mean,
which is
coming
what
to
he's good at. And he's
yeah,
gotten a little tighter with his passing. He knows more what he can hit and can't hit, and he unlocks more of these layup passes. Um, so I would say this is probably his best year yet so far we have talked about.
yeah, obviously he's back from injury. He's not a rookie anymore. He's more into his own. He has a coach that believes in him. You know, Bat Riley was his guy. He was the assistant coach, and then he took over. And he was like chaos. Um, So that's Magic's style. Magic loves this style, this chaotic style that he thrives in it because he's a very intuitive player, as I mentioned, which is actually very weird for a point guard. I don't know if this is part of the topic, but most point guards are very strategic players, but Magic is very intuitive. He reminds me of Steph. And it's ironic because these two are the best, but him and Steph are like very intuitive players. They don't plan things out. They just go, and that's what makes them very unpredictable. So Magic, like this is him getting that kind of coach, like a chaotic coach that gives him that freedom to just run on intuition, like at full speed. That is definitely the beginning of the legend of Magic Johnson as we know it, because that's now his comfort zone, which is no comfort zone. Like let me rock. That's showtime.
It is actually very funny because we're going to talk about Bird later. And Bird and Magic are obviously viewed as this opposites, the black and the white, um, Boston versus LA, inner city versus the French from French Lake, Indiana. They're so opposite in so many ways, but they're also so similar in so many ways because both of these, like Magic, is the best passer of all time in my opinion, and it's not. I don't think it's that close.
I agree.
In the '80s, Larry Bird was number two. In the second best passer of the 1980s is Larry Bird, in my opinion. They were both these geniuses that saw holes and things in the defense that no one else could see. And the more of these very great players that can see what they can see, you can get around them, the better your team becomes. Which I think they would have actually been amazing teammates. Although they're in a sense not roles we would almost see as that compatible because they're both not that good on defense. Bird was good for the time, but still had some weaknesses. But I think this having two geniuses that can see the same things could have really like supercharged offenses in senses where we maybe couldn't even imagine how good they could have been together. Just a little note about these two.
Yeah, and I also would like to comment on what you said earlier about being on ball and fitting with all of these great players. I think you have to give them credit for that, even if it's like even if you think okay, these guys, these other stars are also off-ball players, which makes them fit. Still, like every star likes to have plays ran for them. So it's not about how you start a play; it's how the play is ran to begin with. So it's very difficult to fit when you're playing with that many good players, regardless of what your play style is. And Magic and Bird were both very good connectors because of their quick decision making. Usually, the issue comes not when you're a playmaker, but when you're a slow paced playmaker. Because their quickness in decision making makes everything like work. The Bird specifically, he did it more from the inside, and that made everyone play around him so easily. Magic, because of his like you said, the tiny gaps, that makes players run for things that they wouldn't usually run for. So that makes players look better because now they're doing things they weren't supposed to do. Like that's not what I'm doing, but I'm doing this because I'm playing with this guy. I can do this. So yeah, both of them are like basketball geniuses, and that's why they fit because of their quick playmaking. They didn't wait and map the floor out. They just figured the tiniest of gaps and they made the first good decision usually. Very fast-paced players.
Yes. So I feel like let's move on to 1983, which is the next Magic year. Some of the bases here are
First 82, the playoffs. You didn't talk much about. You just said he won Finals MVP, but
yeah,
any
he wins
any notes on
Finals
the
MVPs in against the 76ers, which they win. He there. I don't know if there's any noteworthy that we said about 79. 70. There's not in like 79, 80. There's always this Kareem misses this one game where Magic puts up 40 points, wins
No, no, I
five.
mean like the overall playoff performance. Is there anything to note of how uh, anything different from before?
Not really. There's nothing in the stats that's so that much different to my eye that I would say. Not when I watch the game, neither nothing that digresses from the regular season. But I like we both said, I think we would both rank this as the best season yet. But
Okay,
1983, 1982, 83 is the next year we need to talk about, and this is a year which he ends up missing. He ends up missing. I have it here. He ended up missing 3 games. He his assists again goes up, which I think is again an indicator he gets more and more on the ball. He, to my eye, he plays some 4-3, but is more shooting guard. When they play against the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals, I would say he is playing because they obviously don't want him to guard George Gervin.
Yeah.
So because they don't want him to guard George Gervin, he's again relegated to playing the 3 and the 4, which is in a sense good positional value that you have this, let's say, bad defender, which you can put on at least 3s and 4s, and because he's 6'8", he's not going to get torched. So I think that is a quiver and that is a feather in his cap, so to say. But I still think that he's not that good at it. Like on rebounding, he will get exploited by these more physical 4s and 3s, which I do still think you see it. But this is the last year we start to see this, because the next year he plays way more point guard. But I think we're in the transition to that. In the playoffs, they end up getting swept by Moses Malone and Dr. J by the 76ers.
Yeah.
They were in close games in those finals, and they just ended up losing it late. Even in the game 4, which ended up being the sweep, they were close, and the 76ers just end up pulling away with it.
Yeah. It's funny how they either win the championship or get swept.
It's either or, and it's by Moses Malone. It's either they get swept by Moses, and or they win the championship so far. But yeah, they end up. He is still, the scoring haven't come along yet, where he is. Their offense is still, their half-court offense is still dump the ball down to Kareem, let him hit a skyhook. If not, we run some other action, maybe for Jamal Wilkes or so on, where we can go.
Just the skyhook, by the way. Like Kareem was more versatile than that, but we'll get to him.
He did more than the skyhook. He did more than the skyhook for sure.
Yeah. We'll get to him in time. I think him getting reduced to the skyhook is kind of unfair, but
yes,
we'll get to him when we get to him.
And this is also, let me see, the rookie year of one James Worthy.
Yep.
Who will become very important for this Lakers team. And even as this, he actually ends up coming off the bench this year, James Worthy. Only plays 25 minutes. But one of his big strengths was that he was so good at running with Magic. Imagine you have the best transition pusher of all time, and you have the super athletic wing that runs next to him.
Yep.
I think you can see where this might start creating problems for people. One of the things we maybe didn't mention so far is that when Magic pushes in transition, it's a 6'8", 6'9" point guard coming at you. If your big is not back, which he often isn't, because he's often offensive rebounding, there's very little resistance, and either you have to commit to him early, where, okay, I have one of the best passers ever, who will then just slice us up for a layup, or I end up giving a 6'8" point guard a layup. So pick your poison. When they're in transition, they're good. In this 83 finals versus the 76ers, I noted that they ran off a foul. An offensive foul gets committed by the 76ers, and they find a way to run and get an open layup for James Worthy or a dunk. That's really crazy because that never happens. But that was just magic. Okay, quick foul, give it to the refs, give him the ball, quick hit, worthy. I think that talks about how good of a transition team this Lakers team
That's
was.
crazy. That's crazy to even imagine. That's crazy.
Um, yes, I don't know. Do you have anything specific to this? Because
Um, I think like this is the kind of season where we start to see that okay, this is. I mean, of course, from the year before, but this is okay. Year four for most players is where like you can see this guy, especially because he missed year two. I mean, half of it. So this is where he comes into his own more. I think as a scorer, you're saying not yet, but I think as a scorer that was the beginning because even if it doesn't show in the numbers, his talent shows a bit more when I watched games from that season. He's I like his scoring actually. I think he's an underrated scorer in a sense because even though he's not a consistent 25 guy, he can hunt mismatches. He's because for his side, if you put him next to like if they defend him with a big, he's very quick. He's too quick to be defended by big. The same thing that you mentioned about his defense, it reverses on his offense. So if you put a guard on him, he can score easily. And if you put a big on him, he can score easily. And I think at that point he started to realize it, but the team was still too talented for him to take a lot of shots. So yes, the scoring aggression is not there yet, but he's starting to see it.
yeah,
And
you see, it's very funny, and I also do this. I actually noticed this when I watch the '03 finals with Manu and Tony Parker. Sometimes you're watching players early in his career, and you can just see all of these flashes that you know he's going to become later because you're obviously also seen the later part. So you see maybe Tony Parker finishing something at the rim that you know, oh, this is one of the best point guard finishers ever. So,
mhm,
in 5 years, he's about to do this 8 times again instead of these 2 times. I've seen it now. And I saw the same thing with Magic, obviously, in 81, 82, 83. I can see these flashes of how his scoring game is going to evolve later with a bit of a post presence, some outside shooting that he's going to crank up later. Um,
yeah.
which I can't. I'm very excited for we get to 87 because some people were insinuating this is was going to be a Magic hate session.
I
Those
mean,
people
I'm
should wait
waiting
till
more for an even later season because in one year he actually shot more and made more than Larry Bird from three. But we're gonna get to that. Um, so yeah, I mean, 83, like you said, I don't think there is more to say about 83, but only that the part of the about defense that you mentioned. I think generally speaking, even if you're not a good defender, if you're a good placeholder for one of like one through four, and you have the best five of all time at the time playing the five and a great backup as well, you don't really need more defense from him. Like
no,
he makes up for quality with the quantity of options. So you can always put him on the worst player. You have good defenders, you can put them on the best player, and you can put him on any bad offensive player on the other team because his size and quickness makes him a good placeholder. Like, yeah, sure, I'm not gonna lock down anybody, but I'm not gonna be hunted because I'm a good enough defender to just be a placeholder against the non-threatening players of the other teams. So that's a valuable thing. I think I don't want to talk about LeBron now, but I think like LeBron was used that way a lot. But let's just delay the LeBron talk for now.
yes. I feel like I agree with some of what you're saying. I will say when they lose, they are like one of the reason they lose is the rebounding game, which yes, some of that is Kareem, but I don't think it helped that your 4 or your 3 defensively is Magic Johnson and not, I don't know, Jamal Wilkes or
Sure,
more like a 4 Kurt Rambis because we sometimes have to play Magic off of we can't put him on the guards, so we put him on the forwards. And yes, he's 6'8", but he's not playing like he's 6'8" when it
Yeah.
comes to rebounding time. And they won championships, obviously, but it did also hurt them sometimes. So I don't think those weaknesses should be glossed over. But I
Yeah,
am
the
also
rebounding.
saying that it's not this invalidating factor that makes him the worst player. He's not Trae Young. Like, this is not the worst defender of all time. But I do think it's very important to notice, because I do think that did hurt their chances of winning in some seasons.
Yeah,
But let's get to
the
1980.
rebounder. Yeah, they'll get AC Green at some point. So yeah,
They get they get him later. And I think that's also
yeah.
one of the very fortunate things is that
Huh?
their wings was capable of guarding guards. But let's get to 1984.
Yeah,
In 1984, they end up losing in the finals to the Celtics.
yeah. That's the
Magic
first one.
plays 67 games in the regular season, meaning he misses 15. I would say this is also the first year he's listed as a point guard, and to my eye, this is the first time he plays point guard.
Mhm.
He primarily, let me just look. This is also the first year without Norm Nixon, which I
Yeah,
think
that is.
you putting two and two together, that's probably also a big reason why he's playing primarily point guard now. And when they see
Yep.
it works, they just keep going at it. Mm, that Lakers team, they end up losing in the finals to the Celtics. Is there any? Let me see if there's anything more. They went 54-28 in the regular season, and this is James Worthy's second year. They still have Jamal Wilkes, Bob McAdoo is still there, Kareem obviously, Michael Cooper. So there is still Byron Scott also comes in, which is funny. As soon as one of their really good guards leave, they get another one who I think was actually really good, which is Byron Scott. Not as good as maybe Norm in his prime, but I think Byron Scott was a really good player.
He's
But
a good shooter.
I think 84 Magic is a step up from these previous years. I don't
Yep.
know. Do you agree? I actually
Yeah,
do want to say
he's
something
like, yeah. Go
we
on. Go on.
missed a little bit quickly. Is that illegal defense, which is going to be important for these which is going to be important for these 80s players, get introduced in 1981-82 season. But to my eye, it starts getting really aggressively called around 85-86. And that is obviously very important because it changes how teams play. But
Yeah.
illegal defense was in the rule book yet. To my eye, it got more exploited the next season, and it got more called the next season. But I think
Yeah.
that's important. What do you say? What do you want to say about 1984 Magic?
That's his career high in assists, obviously. So, and it's actually a step up by like 3 assists from the previous season. So that's a big jump. And yeah, that's his first year playing point guard, but still, like, you'd expect if someone is already averaging 10, 11 assists, that would be his ceiling. He goes up to like 13 and a half, which is absolutely insane. Like, we're playing in the heliocentric era and no one is hitting these highs. This guy, without any shooting, is casually averaging 13 and a half assists. That's crazy. So yeah, that's the first note, of course. That's his career high. That's his first season as a point guard, and he's not just his career high at that point, but I think that's his career high in general. And it's one of the highest assist seasons of all time.
Yeah, and just to also get the per possession, just to idea, because he does play a little more minutes in this season than he does in the following seasons. So like his assists per possession is higher in some of the next two seasons, but this is obviously his career high in per game assists. In the playoffs, they end up, like I said, losing to the Boston Celtics in the finals. And I don't think there's any more noteworthy to mention about that. But if we talk a little bit more about his game, he is now handling the ball a lot more as the primary decision maker. He gets to unlock these layup passes that we talk about a lot more than he did in the previous year. This is the first season of what, if you were to say Magic's prime didn't start from his rookie year, I would say this is the start of Magic prime. This is the year he enters that all-time great level player, and you can see, okay, he is upping all of this. They're still running their half-court offense somewhat through Kareem and the skyhook and all the other post things Kareem was good at. I also think Kareem was a very good passer, which I think we should
Yeah,
mention. He was a really good post passer.
he's
I
good at
also
everything.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, I was saying he was good at everything. Kareem was a great
Kareem
all
was like
around.
that.
Yeah.
Is all I need to say.
How many people are watching, by the way? I don't want to interrupt, but
We got one person right now. We have three at the hide. Small box is put in the chat something in the chat. I don't know if
uh,
you're still here, but
uh,
one of small boxes.
shout out small boxes. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, 1984 is the first year he's really playing point guard. I don't know if there's much to say about that. I think people can imagine why this would be the best year so far, but it's probably not going to be as good as the next couple of years for what we're about to mention. But I would say this is the number one so far. Do you have any interjections about that?
Um, I agree with it being the number one so far. Um, I don't know if we put 83 higher or lower than 82. I don't remember. Did we put it higher or lower than
I put
82?
it higher, but if you have an interjection to that, speak up.
That's fine. I think the main thing is the decrease in scoring, but I think that's really not a big deal. Um, it's like 1 point or less. But anyway, this year, of course, the highest, but also noteworthy that this is the tragic Johnson year. So
Oh yeah, that is right. This is the year he plays in the final and gets called Tragic Johnson, which
yeah,
I do think is important for him. Which I'll do use this to segue into his 1985 season because I think this is a good segue to it. They obviously they lose in they lose to the Celtics and he gets called Tragic Johnson because he did not have a great final series, obviously. But then in 1985, I think this is probably his defensive peak, which is
but
not.
hey, I will say something here to this to the tragic Johnson thing because I wanna let me just check something first because of the I need to like make sure that I'm getting the numbers right. So let me um yeah, because uh I don't like it when these games of like bad games or bad series from older players are over stigmatized compared to modern players, even though it should be the other way around because we are more familiar with the new,
Since since we are
seasons.
in the finals, actually, let me just quickly give his numbers in the finals
Yeah,
so
that's
far.
what I was checking. So
He
he
is
had
he's 39. He is in the this is the 85 finals. Excuse me.
he's basically
In the,
averaging like 4.4 turnovers.
in the
He's
84
shooting
finals, yeah,
he's
he
shooting
is
56% from the field. Like he's not that bad. I mean, he's
nine. He was 18 points per game, 13 and a half assists per game, which
on
he is still this mega passer, which
yeah,
have some numbers on his of how many layups he gets when we get to the
his
85.
numbers are what they are. Like he didn't drop much in the statistics. It's just the timing of his errors, his clutch turnovers.
And his scoring was not at a level yet like
Yeah,
it
but it
we
was good for his time. Like at the time, I mean, not his, but I mean at the time, that's what was expected of him anyway. He didn't score more in the past and then decline now. So the thing I'm talking about here is when you compare his actual numbers to his finals numbers, and then you compare that to Shea Gilgis Alexander, for example. Shea Gilgis Alexander had a bigger drop every time he made the playoffs than Tragic Johnson did, and yet, you know. That's something I wanted to say about that because I don't see a major drop compared to modern players, especially like Shea and Giannis, and uh, not Giannis, not just Giannis. I mean, most players today, most stars, they drop by like 3 4 points, 3 4% from true shooting, and it's pretty much acceptable. But back then, you make one bad turnover and you're tragic Johnson. It's such a. I think it's unfair. Yes, the timing of these mistakes was bad, but the numbers are still high enough to cover for it. And it's crazy they were saying that we're gonna have a Magic 8 session, and I'm out here defending him.
No, it's
Um,
the Magic Play session is coming now because 1985. I think I want to just highlight this because a lot of Magic's defense is rightfully talked negatively about. I'd say because I don't think he was that good. I think in '85 he actually he ramps it up, and I think the finals is probably a very big reason for this. He obviously gets this tragic nickname in '84, and in '85 I think he comes out as a different
mhm.
player in my opinion. He is ramped more up defensively, makes way more plays. I want to highlight a play that I saw. It's from the 1985 finals, game 6. It's if you find there's a video of there's the whole video is on YouTube. So if you find it, it's 11 and a half minutes in. This is one of the best defensive players I've ever seen. He um he ends up switching to with James Worthy to Larry Bird. He
Wait, let
then
me let
ends
me
up
go check it while you're talking.
he ends
So
up helping off of Larry Bird to what's it called, break up a Robert Parrish alley-oop roll pass, who then get recovered by the Celtics. Then after that, he ends
wait,
up
what
staying
minute? What minute of the game?
11 minutes and 30 seconds in
Let
the
me check.
YouTube video. The YouTube video is 11 minutes and 30 seconds in. He then covers Kevin McHale, who throws up a post shot. He defends it well and gets the rebounds and pushes it. I think that's very impressive for a guy that many people shits on as a defender. And I think it says something about that these people we see as bad defenders, Steph, Magic, they can make these very high level plays when they're turned in because they're obviously basketball geniuses. And I think this is his best defensive year in my opinion. I still don't think it's his best offensive year. I think we'll get to that in a couple of seasons. But he also in the playoffs end up averaging 15 assists per game in 36 minutes. That's ridiculous. That's about 18.7 per 100 possessions. To compare it, I would venture to guess that's probably the highest assist per possession or per game in any playoff run, but I could be wrong. He is upping his passing is dialed up now. This is the year where his second year playing point guard, where the passing is dialed up all the way to 10. This is where he hits layup after layup, pushes the ball in transition, gets transition point after transition bucket. And I think the only thing that's kind of missing from his offensive GOAT repertoire so far is the scoring volume is not all the way up, as it's going to be later. So, yeah, this is very close to a GOAT, not quite a GOAT level offensive season so far, in my opinion, because of the scoring. But I would say it's the next step below it. I think there's many all-time players that doesn't have a season as good as this. The Lakers end up winning the championship versus the Celtics in 6 games, and what's his face? Kareem is the Finals MVP at 35 or something years old because they still play half court through him and dump it down low to him.
Yeah, I couldn't find the play. I don't know which
No,
video.
it's fine. I'll put a link into the video in the description.
Yeah, You
whenever
can
we
do
get
that.
there. But I would this is like we're not hitting his peak yet, so obviously this is probably still the best season so far, which a lot of them are gonna come until
Yeah, I
we get
mean this is
down from his peak,
championship
and
season,
then
and he's locked
that's when
in
it's gonna
with
be
it.
hard to rank. But I would say this is maybe his best passing season. I could be persuaded to call it that.
Maybe.
Um, yeah. Do you have anything to say about 1985 Magic Johnson?
Okay, first of all, I think Magic. It's fair to say that he gets better every season until he just leaves 91 after 91. You can say that. Like you can literally say that 91 was his best season or 90. Uh, he was at his peak when he had to retire. And so like us keeping like every year we're saying, okay, this is his best year yet. That's probably the theme of this episode because Magic kept improving every year until he was forced to retire. I mean, we're gonna just ignore 96 because that never happened. Just like until his actual like first retirement, he was improving every year and he was playing at elite level in
He made
91.
nine
But
straight
in
all.
85,
He made nine straight first team All NBAs. Like, I mean,
yeah,
there was,
that's
I
insane.
think it's as soon as like 86, 87, if I'm not wrong. There's a good 4 year period where you're not making first team All NBA if you're God because there's Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan. And those two have those two locked down. Let's say it like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's the theme. And also the consistency. He's consistent every year. He's having a great season. He's not missing a lot of time. How many games did he miss that year?
He missed five.
Yeah, that's not much. And that's also, like you said, he came back locked in because of the tragic Johnson thing, which, like I said, I'm going to, this is going to be a theme of the show. Every time I come across a season in which a player was scrutinized for having a bad series, I'm going to compare it to these modern players that can average 5 points less than their average and still be called great playoff players. I don't care. I'm doing this like this is my show now. So I'm going to do this with every player who got that kind of reputation. So we started with Magic. Yes, Tragic Johnson was not as bad as advertised. Um, so yeah, he came back locked in because he basically cost them the finals with his ill-timed turnovers, and then he came back and he was locked in this time. And it's also very theatrical because it's a rematch, finals rematch, and that is a very cinematic thing. Like this is what I wanted to be alive for. We only got to see it with the 2016 finals. That's literally the only finals I remember, which was, I mean, of course, 2010 was, but it was one separate. They were separated by 1 year. Um, but this is a like a direct rematch from 94, from 84, and everyone is healthy. So this is a great time to be alive, I guess, for NBA fans at the time to see these guys go like 1 year to this guy and 1 year to that guy. That's a real rivalry right there. I think that's what built this rivalry until this moment, having rematches in the finals with like these cinematic moments. So yeah, that year he cemented himself after he was crucified the year before. He had his second coming. So yeah, that's a great season for Magic. 86 is the one to come.
Yes. So if we get to 86, there is some important. There is he does get an injury midway in. I think it's in January. He ends up having. I think it's a knee injury, but don't hold me to that. He misses 10 games in total. Also comes off the bench for two. So there's a bit of a loan management, easing a guy back in minutes restriction. From Magic. So
Misses
I'd
10 games, you said?
Yeah, he misses 10 games. The Lakers
Yeah, that's
the
yeah.
Lakers end up losing in the playoff, obviously, because the Celtics beat the Rockets with Hakeem and what's his the Wemby compare Ralph Sampson. There is, yeah, they lose in the Western Conference Finals to Houston. The Lakers team is still they win 62 games in the regular season, even with Magic missing 10. They're still they're still the best offense or second best offense in the league. Um, so yeah, I think this is in big competition with 85 actually. I'd say it's a lot of the same things. Maybe I'd say the scoring aggression goes up a little bit, but not too
Yeah.
noticeably. Where the next year is about to really get into that. But I would say I don't know how much what there is to say about 86. This is a year where they don't end up facing Boston because this would have actually, if they had made the finals this year, this would have been the same as the Cavs and Warriors where they play 4 years straight because 86 is the only year in that 4 year period where they don't play.
Yeah. Respect the Twin Towers, though.
Yeah, with Wealth and Hakeem. So
That's crazy. That was a crazy duo. To have like these two in your front court is crazy.
yeah, that was especially at the time where every shot was around the rim almost.
Yeah, you have two guys averaging like 10 blocks among them. That's insane. That's a radar.
So I don't know what do you. I would say that 85. This is probably the first year where we can maybe put another year ahead of it, except for the 80 and 81, obviously. But I would say 85 is better than 86 because of the injury, and he misses 5 more games, ends up missing 10. I think you can see it a little bit. I don't know how much I feel like you can see it, but I feel like it's there. So I
Yeah,
could I
because
could I could
they're
rank
going.
86 over 85 over 86. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they were identical seasons statistically, so when you have two identical seasons statistically like that, these 5 games will be a separator. Also, the championship and the playoff performance, that could be a separator. The statistics are identical. I'm sure he got better a little bit, but the injury may have slowed that down also. So, yeah, 85, just based on the playoff performance and winning and the health, that would be the better year. Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I'm
Mhm.
just yes. So I would still have this as the second best year, just below 85. But now we get to the good stuff. This
Yeah,
is
that's it.
to me Magic's peak year, 1987. The Lakers win the championship in their third match versus the Boston Celtics in 6 games. Magic, the big thing here is that he ups his scoring aggression a whole lot. Um,
Yeah, 24
he
points.
I think he averages 24 points instead of what did he average before, like 18? I think
Yeah, 19.
when
19.
you hear Chill call him the best scorer in the league today, this is probably the year he's referencing, even though that's still not maybe realistic that he would be the best scorer today. But I digress. I think he ups his scoring volume significantly. It's done through taking way more twos. He's taking almost like 3.7 more twos per game than he did the previous year, which
Yeah,
is
he
huge.
shoots 2 more free throws also.
Yeah, he shoots 2 more free throws, is more aggressive getting to the line. And this is one thing I really want to talk about with Magic, actually. Because one thing, and he had it in his game, and I would just have loved to see it more, is his foul drawing. I feel like could have really taken his scoring over the top. Because I saw this one play from, I think it's versus the Celtics, and I don't know if it's this year or the previous year. I'll have it in my notes here somewhere, where he kind of catches someone off a catch, gets him on the side, and he does this Jalen Brunson SGA, just stops up. Chris Paul stops and goes a little sideways in his jump shot just to draw a foul. Like it's not a legitimate shot. He's not trying to score the ball. He is just trying to draw a foul. And I would
Yeah,
just love to have seen more of it, because if you can get
because
an
we're unethical hoops. Because we're
yes,
unethical.
unethical hoops. If you could have gotten maybe one or two times more, one more time per game, I think that could have really put his scoring up there with some of the guys, especially in the 80s, because I think league average offensive rating is like 108, whereas it's like 116 or something today, maybe a little lower. I can't remember. But I think that could have really been one of his scoring, what do you call it? A big part of his scoring arsenal. And I don't think it was as much as it could have been. He went, as you say, he went to the line 8 times. He had shot 8 free throws in his best year. But in the 91 finals, if you watch that game one versus Michael Jordan, he does this rip through move when Michael tried to guard him in his post, and he gets him on like 2 times. So I think he develops it right as his season, his career is about to end. He ends up figuring out, oh, I can just rip through with my arms when their arms in illegal guarding position and get fouls. And because I shoot 90% from the free throw line, that's super efficient offense, especially for the time. So I think that's the one thing that could have really taken his scoring over the top. He shoots the ball way more in 1987, and his passing is now dialed up to 11,
Yeah,
10. I tracked game 2 of the 1987 finals because I wanted to see how many layup passes he makes. He hits 11 layup passes in this game. He plays 42 minutes, I think. 11 layup passes, to my eye, is really, really high. Um, it's two of them was in two, three of them was in transition, but a lot of them was also in the half court where he just hits Kareem on the right place in a post up where he just hits it so Kareem have a very easy way to the basket so he can just follow through with the ball. Some of it is he hits James Worthy or Byron Scott in an advantageous position. So they're not right directly in layup position, but they're so close and the ball is so good they can just take one step and lay it up. He hits one of the power forwards for a layup too. Like accessing 11 layups a game. They didn't make all of them. I think they made 9. Is so efficient offense, especially in 1980. Like that's a lot of layups. I would venture to guess that's probably a little ahead of even a Jokic today, where he had cutters obviously all the time, and he's probably a way better. He's a way bigger scoring threat than Magic Johnson, and Magic is doing this all with his passing. This is not because people are just collapsing on him, even in his best scoring season in 1987. I also do need to say that he is very, very efficient as a scorer. Just in general, he's always been efficient, and I think that's a very valuable archetype. Having this guy that doesn't score that much, but scores super efficiently. In this year, he's about 60% true shooting, which is very efficient for the time. I think league average is about 54, 53, so it's like +6, +7, I think. Don't hold me to that. But he is a very efficient scorer. And I think this is Magic's best year and could be argued to be the best offensive season anyone has ever had because he mixed higher volume scoring with all-time passing creation.
his season like that season, when a player like that averages like 24 points, there is nothing you can do about it. This is like the best offense you can do as a team. Like you cannot ask for more. And also as an opponent, there's nothing you can do. Like you mentioned, all of these layups from him and his teammates by his playmaking, and there's nothing you can do about it because there's like he's not creating them through something that you do. He's not a reactionary player, like I mentioned earlier. He's a very intuitive player, and that's
No,
probably why he was.
it's not it like I need to like hammer this in. This is not because people like he collapses the defense like LeBron and hits an open 3-point shooter. He hits layup passes that is covered by this
Yes.
much. This is the hole he hits it through. Like this is the best passer ever. People say Curry is the best shooter ever, and it's by such a clear margin. Like Magic is that for passing. He is that good of a passer. Like the velocity on his passes, especially like 85 and on, and the accuracy is so good that like he's like I said, he hits 11 layup passes in this game. Like 11 layups just from a guy's passing is crazy. And they obviously run like
Mhm.
they run a lot. They didn't their pace wasn't that high because when they got into the half court it was a bit slower. But yeah, like this is an all-time offensive season and Magic adds a little bit more of the post game. He's more aggressive with the 2-point jump shot. When people collapse on Kareem, he can kind of spot up outside with the jump shot. It's not really off the dribble. I wouldn't. It's just people sacking off because they're helping on all the other threats and they're trying to cover for Magic passing, and he can punish that with shooting and scoring from the outside. He's still not a great jump shooter. He's a good enough jump shooter. So yeah, this is to me is his best season, and 1987 is going to be number one, and it's probably not going to get
He's
past.
yeah, his shooting is improving at that point. It's still not what it was later, but it's improving. The mid range is there. He improves the three later. And
What'd you say, Amir? Damn, did I miss?
he's very intuitive. What?
You cut out for a little bit, but you said he was
Oh,
very intuitive,
did you?
and I
Yeah,
agree.
I was saying he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't like uh, map out the play beforehand like some other players. That's what makes it unguardable because you cannot expect what's going to happen. Players just keep moving and then he finds one. And like you mentioned, a very tiny gap. That's impossible to defend. And uh, yeah, I was saying that maybe that's why he didn't foul bait much because he that requires a bit of mapping out. Like that requires like you're planning to draw a foul as opposed to you just find. Very few players were intuitive with their foul baiting. Maybe Tim Duncan. He would catch you if your arm is 1 centimeter off. But other than Tim Duncan, I think most foul baiters plan it before the play. They have like, I'm a draw foul now. So he wasn't like that. So yeah, that's why he wasn't foul baiting much.
Yes. So, yeah, like we said, this is one of the best offensive seasons of all time.
Me too.
I'm just gonna give me a quick moment here. So I think we need to get into 1988, which again, the Lakers end up winning the championship here again versus the Detroit Pistons in 7 games. A funny note about kind of what I focused on of the game I choose to watch from this is the very famous Isaiah Thomas 25-point third quarter where he sprains his ankle. Because I obviously watched that for some Isaiah Thomas hate I have going on previously. But
God.
Isaiah was amazing in that game. I would maybe say he was the second best point guard in that game because Magic was amazing. He had like he had close to a 20 and 20 game, like 20 assists.
Mm.
Hit an alley oop, I think to Michael Cooper. I can't remember who it was. But I think this is where his scoring aggression ended up going down a little bit. Let me also see how many games he missed, just because that's a little bit of a thing we need to do. He misses 10 games in the regular season, so that is important. Um, his scoring volume goes down to about 20 points per game instead of 24. Let me see if he averages this out in the playoffs. Yes, it goes down a bit as well in the playoffs compared to the compared to 1987. But I would still venture to say like the passing might even be better than 87, but the scoring is just down a little bit. So I would
Mm.
say this is his second best season. This is
Yeah,
also he's very clearly no longer the best player because in '87 he was probably the best player in the world. In '88, a certain 23 in Chicago came along, and he was clearly the best player in the world. So I would say this is number two. I don't know what you feel.
yeah. I mean, like I said, he was getting better every season. So if the previous season was the anomaly scoring season, then that makes this one the second best. And I just wanted to note, I think it's better to just do Magic this time. I thought it would be quicker than that, but
No, this will be Magics. There will be Magics for sure. I also feel like
yeah,
we plays Magic a lot, so I think this is very
yeah, one player per episode is better. I thought their careers were short, but they're not that short. And this is what we notice when we do this with Magic. Yes, he only played 13 seasons or 14 seasons, or like, no, 13. But every single season is worth talking about. This guy had better longevity than advertised. I mean,
he
yes, he
played
played,
12 years plus one. 12 years plus one.
yeah, 12 years plus one. And all of these 12 years are like top 10 years. He was probably a top 10 player in the league every year of his 12 years. Maybe a rookie season, you could debate it, but
Yeah.
I don't remember if there are 10 players who were better than rookie Magic. But other than rookie season, like you could see, this guy is a top 10 player and top 5 for like 8 or 9 of these seasons. So that's great longevity. I don't know what to say. Yeah, sure, his career was short, but what would you rather? Like have like 4 more 1996 Magic years? Like that's what other players usually have. They have like 7 or 8 great years, and then the rest are, you know, not that
Yeah.
good. But this guy had an entire decade of dominance. And
And I think, for example, your guy Kobe. I think not to do anything with like, yeah, Kobe had a lot of years, but his last 3 years after the Achilles, he was done.
yeah,
Like,
no one cares about these years. That's what I'm saying. Like
so it's almost
Kobe's
like,
career is
yeah, how much
15
longevity,
good
like
years,
the
including
longevity doesn't just
13.
clear Magic when you start to think about, oh, like three of them, he was not that good, and his rookie year when he was 18, he was also not that
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean,
So
Kobe's prime was 13 seasons, I think, from like 2001 to 2013. But we'll get to Kobe in time.
we will. I have
Yeah,
one thing I want to say because when we get to Kobe, I will give there will be no Kobe slander in that episode, except for like 2 minutes of me talking about all defensive teams. But the rest the remaining hour will not be Kobe slander. I promise. Because I've seen way too much of that, and I'm tired of it.
yeah. And I will
It's
talk about that '06 first round series because Tragic Johnson, gave up on his team '06. I'm here for these moments because these moments are over scrutinized. I'm
oh
here for these over scrutinized moments because
we'll get to
that's,
Kobe when we get to Kobe. I do think
yeah, Magic Johnson, a decade of dominance, like I said. I
one
don't know
thing.
what more you need from a player. Like, does a player have to play 20 years to have longevity?
I mean, you could
I
have
mean,
a
other
20-year
than
dominance like LeBron James, but I mean, he's
LeBron is
just
an anomaly. When it comes to
LeBron is
longevity,
just LeBron James. Like, what do you want from him?
yeah, that's it. Like, Braun aside, who else had over a decade of dominance? No one. I mean, like, over a decade by like 15 years. No one had 15 years of dominance. Usually it's like 10 to
Kobe?
12 years from the all-time greats, and that's what Magic did. So I don't know why it's like, why do you need role player years from Magic just to include him in these longevity talks. I don't care about these role player seasons. Like, I
No,
don't how good you were when you were not yourself. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to longevity. I don't care how good your bad version was. Like, yeah, sure. Uh, Tim Duncan's last season was way better than Kobe. But does anyone care about Tim Duncan's last season? I don't think anyone cares. Like,
I,
that's not why he's Tim Duncan. LeBron's rookie season is way better than like Kobe. But does anyone care about rookie LeBron? No. I mean, these seasons that don't count to me, they don't count. Like we're talking about your actual rankable years, like the years you were rankable among the league's best players, like top 10, top 15. These years are the ones that count. If you're not there, that year doesn't count. I think at least
I think
that's
I can when we're talking about in this echelon, like one extra year of like Tim Duncan's 2016 season is probably not moving him much when it's like his 2003 season is probably 5 times as good as that season or something, depending on how you want to rate it up. But we got three Magic Johnson. Yeah, we just did 80. Where do you want to rate 88? Because I would say it's the second best season so far, behind 1987. I don't know if you agree.
yeah. So there are two times in which we broke the each year is better than the previous one. That the one in which he got injured, and then another one he got injured, and then this one because of the scoring. So that's three times. Other than that, it's like it's an up, it's an upward hill. So let's go to the next one, which will probably be a better season as well.
This is 1988-89. He averages 22.5 points per game. He is still he actually has 12.8 assists. So this is his second highest assist year per game. They end up losing in the finals to the Detroit Pistons. A very important note here is that he injures his hamstring and doesn't play the last couple of games versus the Pistons. If
Yeah.
I'm not wrong, let me double check my.
His second best scoring season as well, not just assists.
So it's yeah, he injures his hamstring and cannot play in game 3 and 4. Game 3 he plays 5 minutes. In game 4 he doesn't play. So I do think that is important because
Mhm.
like missing the some of the most important basketball of the season is very unfortunate. He also averages like 12 points per game and 8 assists, which probably is
Mhm.
dragged down by that one game he plays 5 minutes. Like he was basically hurt for this entire year, like not entire year, entire finals series,
Yeah,
where he is kind of limited by his hamstring. So yeah, um, I think if I had to dock him, that would probably be what I dock him for.
but his scoring goes up again this season. So that's his second best scoring season in terms of points per game, and also that's the year his 3-point attempts go up. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear.
Yeah, so the 3 points go up. Now he's shooting like 2.8, I think, like nearly three a game, three threes, and he's shooting them at like 31%. Nothing crazy. It gets crazier the next year. Um, so this year, his scoring is very good, and it's more diverse compared to the previous one because this time he's shooting threes. Yes, the finals injury is there, but I'd still think this beats the previous year if I have to rank it because of his individual. Like, yeah, sure, he got injured in the finals, but I don't know if I want to tax him hard enough for that to
His
basically forget
efficiency is
everything else.
also his efficiency is also way up from the
Yeah,
previous.
because his 3-point attempts and his scoring aggression, he's doing more this year than the previous year.
Yeah, I agree. So this would probably be his second best season, we would say, right?
Yeah,
Behind 87. In my opinion, this is still behind 87.
yeah,
I would say
87 plus. Yeah.
this is his second best year. Let me just see how many games he missed.
Yeah, a few, I think 5.
He missed. Bear with me. He missed 5 games.
Yeah, that's 5. Yeah,
Missed 5 games. But he has this unfortunate postseason injury in the finals. I don't know if they
yeah,
would have beat. They
that's
probably
on his
wouldn't have.
case.
They
That,
probably would not have. So
I don't know if in the file we have, maybe we should have one like column for notes like this. I don't know
mm,
if that's worth it.
there is a notes in the, if you go to the all the way to the right, there should be a notes tab.
Yeah, but that's for each player if you're talking about. But I mean, because we're going through the seasons, so the notes tab is going to be every player that doesn't or every year that doesn't make sense. I'm talking like next to the player himself before we get to the next player. But I don't know if that works honestly because
I can make it work.
we will see. Yeah, let's just try to put a note for that. The finals injury. That's probably the only one for Magic so far.
Postseason
Like
injury.
maybe the one in his sophomore year, but we already covered that
Yeah,
when we
his
did
sophomore year
this.
didn't really go into the playoffs. It was more in the. There's actually a funny thing about the '85 finals. Bird ended up hurting his hand in a bar brawl in the conference finals versus when he plays against Philadelphia.
A bar blow.
They go to a bar and he ends up missing up his hand. Is the story. He also has a hurt elbow per Kevin McHale. So it's kind of not clear which injury may have happened, but the story goes he get into a bar fight and that end up hurting his hand, his shooting hand. So that's a little funny story of that. But
Yeah, if this happened in the social media era, bro.
dude, I this is also one of the things like I hate, like I don't hate players personally. I hate Isaiah Thomas personally because he called his era professional. Like like Larry Bird injured his hand in a bar fight in the conference finals. If that happened today, the guy would get crucified.
Yeah,
Um,
that's crazy.
like like Isaiah Thomas had sexual assault allegations when he was with, I think it was with the Knicks or something. Like Dennis Rodman went in with a wedding dress to get married to Madonna mid season or something. Like
Yeah, no, Dennis Rodman is a known like unprofessional. But I mean, Isaiah Thomas
Magic,
also there is a story about his mother fighting with the fans when they would
yeah,
criticize in
Dennis
the
Rodman kicked like a camera off the like when he fell off the floor, just kicked the camera guy.
yeah.
What's his name? Magic had to retire because he got AIDS. Like, let's not act like LeBron was. Oh, this is why he said it, so I can rant for 2 minutes because this is my show. Uh, because LeBron James took off his shirt during warm-ups, he's unprofessional. But
Did he
your
say that
best
for
friend,
that reason?
that is why LeBron James took his shirt off in the pre-game warm-up, and Isaiah Thomas called that unprofessional. And back in his time, they were so professional. Like your best friend got AIDS during the AIDS epidemic. Like, I don't think having your shirt on is the biggest issue we have right now. Like, come
Bro,
on.
I mean, Isaiah, there were reports about Isaiah Thomas's mother having fist fights with the fans in the crowd when they criticized
Yeah.
him.
Like, I don't hate players. I generally do not like Isaiah Thomas. Like, that's more personal. That's both personal and as a player. This is overrated as fuck.
That
But
is
let's get
very
back
true.
to
I
the
mean,
actual good point guard, Magic
I
Johnson.
don't know if we'll have an Isaiah Thomas
We will
episode,
not.
so
We will not have an Isaiah Thomas episode. I refuse to put him in the conversation with these guys. I'm sorry.
yeah,
I
shout
really.
out Johnny Arnett for his video about Isaiah not deserving a dream team spot, even for basketball reasons. That was
No,
a
no.
good
Like
video.
he was not like in 1992. He was not close to the third best point guard or whatever they were, or the second best non-Magic Johnson, because Magic had to be there because he was famous. Kevin Johnson was like way better than him when you get to the early
Yeah,
90s.
he talked about Tim Hardaway Jr. I mean, Tim Hardaway Sr. as well. Like
Kevin Johnson
him,
was nice, man. I loved Kevin Johnson was awesome.
yeah,
I really
he
loved
was
Kevin.
athletic.
But let's get to 1990. Speaking of Kevin Johnson, I actually watched them play versus the Suns in 1990. They end up losing in the, let me see here. They end up losing in the Western Conference semifinals to the Suns in 5 games.
Wait, this is the first year without Kareem, I think, or
This is the first year without Kareem, indeed. James
yeah,
Worthy end up
that's an
having
important note.
a very big what do you call it, half court role in their offense, because Kareem's obviously no longer there, and like this happened a little bit early as well. But I would say that yeah, I think Magic. He has to score more because Kareem isn't there. So the scoring volume, he has to keep that high. It's still at 22 point. It's at 22.3 compared to 22.5 the previous years. He misses 3 games, by the way. He wins MVP this year. Actually, I would probably say
And
my
another
guess.
important note: this is the year he was a better three-point shooter than Larry Bird.
Yeah, he shot 38% from free on 3.5 attempts a game.
Yeah,
And then the next year he goes to 32%. So probably a blip more than a trend.
but still, like he got injured, so he got sick, so we don't know if the year after that would have been good. I
Could
mean,
have.
him going that high for 2 seasons in attempts, he shot
This is also
35%.
actually his this is his highest free throw attempt year. Averages 8.1 free throw attempts per game.
Yeah, so that's
So
probably his highest true shooting season.
I would want to guess that, but let me check. Magic
I
Johnson's
think because
highest
of the threes and free throws.
It is. No, 1991 was 0.1% better, like
Yeah, I mean,
0.01 better. But and the year before, 88, 89 was a little better, and 83, 84, 85 is actually his highest true shooting year at 63.7%. So,
okay.
but
And then
yeah,
the 2
he's
points
still a very
were
super
like,
efficient scorer. Nonetheless, it's coming more by the jump shot and post ups, because the quickness is waning here. Which, if we go back to the defense we talked about in the start, his defense is now all reliant on just being there and being 6'8". There's not that much foot speed left on defense, I'd say.
mhm.
So yeah, I don't know, but like,
He wasn't that low though. I mean, he was still like 30. So let's just not like get too
no,
crazy
he's
about
not.
it. He wasn't aging, he was just not at his athletic peak anymore, but he wasn't aging.
Yeah. What can I say about this? Do I have any notes? I don't think I have that many notes about this year. I don't.
Playoffs?
Yeah, they lose in the Western semifinals to the what they call the Suns. He is actually one thing I noticed when I watched them. Orlando Woolwich was really athletic, so he was a very nice player to have around in that Magic, just to have like a super athlete, like he could jump out the
Who?
gym. Orlando Woolwich was one of their like role players,
Yeah, yeah.
but he was like super athletic, like he could jump out the gym. He was a very good, like a very nice compliment to Magic. He actually, this is his best scoring playoffs at 25 points per game. So there is that.
Yep,
And 13 assists per game ish. So
that's
very
crazy.
very high.
13, 25 and 13 is crazy.
His what is it? Yeah, he had like 15 assist postseason in 85 and 86. So yeah, Magic, good passer. But I don't know where would you rank this? I'm not entirely sure.
Um, I'd go same as the year before. There isn't a gap with the year before, so you can just say higher or lower. It doesn't matter. And same thing with the next year as well. These last 3 years, they're right behind 87, and in in whatever order, it doesn't matter. These are just his like S tier years, his 4 or 5 S tier years, and yeah, that's so it's 24 points per game season, and then these last 3 years, that's his peak.
Yes. Um. Yeah. Let's finish up with 1991, where they play the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan in the finals.
And he had a great final.
Yeah, this is the very famous game one where they took Michael off of Magic because he couldn't guard him, which that's not true. Like in the fourth quarter, like late in the fourth quarter, he's guarding Magic, but Magic is whiffering and foul baiting to get him in foul trouble. He ended up having 5 fouls in that game. And this is the one where, like I said before, he does as soon as Michael puts a hand on him, he just rips through that hand and gets up to the foul line, which is something I would have loved to see a little more of
Yeah,
because
James Worthy was injured, right?
yeah, he got injured like late in that finals, if I'm not mistaken, because he played in game one.
Yeah, I know the Lakers in general were injury plagued. I think Sam Perkins was there, and he was uh
Yeah, Worthy plays 4 games that season. Oh, another important teammate we actually haven't mentioned is Clay's dad, Michael Thompson, who was the first overall pick,
yeah,
which is just
Michael
another
Thompson.
nice
They had
player to have
a
as a
lot of
role
first
player,
of
like later in your careers, and later in his career, where he's in Portland, he's like a 21 point per game scorer, and then he ends up going to the Lakers just to be like a backup rotation guy. So again, Lakers 80s,
The
very stacked.
Lakers kept trading for first overall picks, and like past their prime legends or stars, and it was so easy. Like I don't know, Doctor Boss, man. Shout out Doctor Boss. Um, shout
I
out
think
Jerry.
if we talk about team building for a second in the 80s, just because it is very important to the Magic story, is that the like if you have one of the good GMs, they're more likely to get Magic. But because they're good GMs, they also get all the other good players. So, and there are many incompetent teams, and not really the salary cap wasn't as like we see as restrictive as I don't even know when the
Yeah,
salary cap
that's that part of it is irretaxable for sure because teams were just trying to stay afloat financially,
and
so
then
they
you have
would trade players for cap. Yeah, they just wanted money to stay afloat from a business standpoint because the league was profiting off of the Lakers and Celtics, not off of like not every team was profitable. So that's a note, about team building. That's why the league was so top heavy because the league was yes, it was finally profiting in the 80s, but also not enough to cover every team. So the team building got more difficult in the 90s compared to the 80s.
yeah. So I think that's that is like the Lakers had a lot of talent around Magic Johnson, but they end up facing the Bulls, which is even more talent and an even more better player in Michael Jordan. I think based on what I saw, I think this is maybe a little bit better, in my opinion, than 1990. Not by much, but I am also very biased. This is a little biased by watching that game one, where like he gets Michael Jordan into foul trouble, which is very impressive. So if you have a different opinion, I am not opposed to it.
Not
But
really. Not really. Like I said, we watched them every year seemed like it was better than the year before from a basketball standpoint. The
I
differences are either
okay,
injuries or like playoff drops. But as a basketball player, he was getting better every year.
I'll say 91 is slightly fuck. Yeah, let's say 91 is, I would actually say, maybe let's say it's slightly below 19. I would say actually, when I think about it more, I would say this is below 1988, like because we had these three years, like 1990, 1989, 1988, clustered together. So I would probably say this is below those, but I don't know what you say. Like I think he's very similar in all of the years.
Yeah, the
You,
only difference is in the last 3 years he was shooting more threes
yeah,
and he was drawing fouls compared to before that. Um, but yeah, like it doesn't matter which year is ahead of. Like I would just lean towards chronology, like opposite of chronology. So he was just getting slightly better every year. But if you don't want to do that and just base it off of the tiny details like injuries and
I do
the
also think
fight
the defense
matches,
the defense is a little worse. So I'll probably have that as my tiebreaker and say
maybe.
that's why I'll say 1991 is maybe the worst of their prime years. I might even say in 85 is better, but I might not say that. I don't know, depend on how I feel. But I'll say 91 is the worst of those, like the three last years, and then after
Maybe.
91 he has to retire. So because of AIDS.
Yeah.
So yeah, he missed 3 games. I'll put it here. We can always move it around.
That's
But
fine. So yeah, that's crazy.
that's
So yeah,
and
go
then
ahead.
I'll put 1996 last
Yeah.
because
Anything to say about that season?
he comes back from being. I have I didn't put very much research into it because I knew it was going to be last because he starts 9 games and plays like 32 or something. But like he comes back off of not playing for like 4 years because he
I
had
think he
eight.
played in different leagues though. He played in
Yeah, he
Europe.
played. I actually don't know if like Basketball Reference just has him listed as not playing because of illness. I don't know if he played. He played after '96 in Denmark. Actually,
In
he played
Denmark, yeah.
for the Magic Johnson Great Danes. So he
Yeah, he
probably
played in Denmark.
so he played a little around. Yeah,
It's
in
an
2000
interest.
he played for the Magic Johnson Great Danes. So that's interesting. But I do want
Yeah,
to.
he was a coach in the Lakers, and then he played, and he was a terrible coach, by the way. And then he played outside of. Uh, he
He played
played
the
like
Dream Team
in
in the too as
Scandinavia.
well.
Scandinavia. Yeah, that's it. So
I think that's
yeah, I
it for
mean
Magic.
'96. Actually, I think he was a
I
good offensive player.
I mean, he's still good, and he ended up being in the playoffs. So I mean, that's fun. But I do want to just I do want to sum up Magic Johnson's career because I do think he deserves that. And it's one of the greatest players ever, which all these guys are going to be. So I do want to sum up at the end.
Go ahead.
What I'm just gonna put a note down here for the timestamps. Yes. So Magic Johnson is arguably the best offensive player of all time, and this comes from being the best passer of all time, unlocking these layups after layup after layup, both in transition and in the half court. His ability to just push the pace every single time he got the rebound or a teammate kicked it out to him, or even after a make, they would push pace and he would find an early advantage. And sometimes it's not just a layup pass. Maybe he just throws it ahead very quickly and they end up having a very, very fast, like they end up having easier offense because of it. So I think his passing is he's maybe the only of these offensive goats that's mainly because of passing. The other one would be Steve Nash, but I would say his volume, passing, the ability to just unlock layups, and then also the scoring efficiency is very very high. Very few players could match both his creation and his scoring efficiency. And that's out without being a high volume scorer necessarily like LeBron or Jordan, where his passing unlocked his teammates, not his scoring, drawing the defense into him. It was his passing that found
Hmm.
holes. Like this is maybe a little good point because Magic, Isaiah, and Stockton are sometimes seen as the same because they had super high assist totals in the 80s, in their 80s point guards. Magic Johnson is way better than the other two because he's a way better passer, because he's way better passer than everyone ever. Like a lot of the Stockton and Isaiah assists come because the system manufactures assists for them. This is almost opposite. The system is about giving Magic opportunity to see small holes he could exploit. Whereas with Magic and Isaiah, it's more the offense is designed to they have the ball, find Carmelo in an advantageous position. Whereas Magic just squeezed and exploited all the value you could out of these positions to a degree that no one really ever has. So I think I think that's maybe why I'm so high on him and maybe a seen as low on the other guys is because his passing is like that good. And yeah, obviously we talked about his defense in the early 80s, where I do think it was detrimental because having a 4-3 that is that not that athletic carries with it some very big negatives because it takes away rim protection and rebounding from a team whose center is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who isn't the greatest rebounder in the world. So that's adding to your weakness in a sense. But I think he made up for it in all of his great offensive powers even back then. And then when they gave him the keys in around 84, 85, it just took off. And this is one of the best offensive dynasties ever. That was consistently around the top offense in the league. And I think I saw in 1987, if I'm not wrong, they had an offensive rating of 120, which is the highest offensive rating in the postseason until the Cavs in 2017. They're like 11.3 better than the league average offensive rating, and that's in the
That's
playoffs.
just crazy.
That's insane. In the NBA today, a 120 offensive rating would be fourth, and offense has exploded. Like it's better than OKC's offense, which is fourth best.
It would be the best offense in the playoffs even today.
That's insane. Like I don't even know how to say it. It's in 1987, and it would be the best offense in the playoffs today. That's crazy. Like I think that just speaks to how good of an offensive player Magic was.
Yes.
I don't know. I hope the guys who watch this or gonna watch the video back, I really hope we gave Magic the flowers he deserved because he's that good of a player, and he
Yeah,
is.
there's an additional thing too. I like not basketball wise, just as an entertainer because the product of the league was not that good before Magic Johnson. He was so fun to watch. He basically globalized the game. I know people give this credit to Michael Jordan, but Magic Johnson started it. He was the most marketable player of all time at that point. And like my dad's first memory of basketball is Magic Johnson, not someone before that, even though my dad was born in 61. So he was already in his 20s. That's his earliest basketball memory. He didn't know about basketball until Magic Johnson. So That's the like cultural impact. As you also mentioned, them being opposites, him and Bird, in terms of lifestyle, but also their way of playing. Larry Bird, yeah, as good as he was, I mean, he's entertaining to watch to me, but Magic is clearly the more marketable player, like worldwide, because of his style of play. He was a joy to watch, and he's still very much watchable today, which is difficult, like compared to other stars. He's one of the few that you would genuinely have fun watching, just based on his insanely unpredictable passes. He's so good, man. Like I don't know how to sum up his career. Like you did a great job at that, but I also wanted to give him the flowers from a cultural standpoint because I think his marketability is underrated due to the Michael Jordan getting all of the credit in terms of globalizing the game. I
There's
think, yeah,
there is this picture. Um, I hope this is not I didn't get AI because I'm very I've seen this before AI. It's of like Magic Johnson walking into I think he's walking into a game with Jack Nichols, Jack the guy who played the Joker, Mike
Jack Nicholson.
Tyson, Madonna, Michael Jackson, all like behind him, and I feel like that just it encapsulates a lot of the Magic Johnson star power just in like all of these celebrities are walking in to see him and the Lakers play because he was like that big of a name. And
Yeah,
he obviously made them Showtime. Oh, I actually had something I wanted to mention because they're Showtime. This is and this is just a little basketball point because they showed it on the broadcast of one of the games. We don't really have that many tracking data from that time, but in game one of the 87 finals, they scored 49 fast break points. The Celtics scored 16. In game two, the Lakers scored 57 fast break points.
oh
The
my god.
Celtics scored 7. Two games. They outscored them by 80, like 40 points on average on the fast break. This is the best fast break team ever. This is one of the best fast break players ever, if not the best. People talk about LeBron and Giannis, and yes, they're amazing. I think Magic Johnson's passing and in the like while he's not Giannis or LeBron and scoring in the fast break, he is probably the next step below because he would push and the big would not be there very often because he was offensive rebounding. So he would push and you either committed to him, but not very many committed to him because he would just smoke that with layup for his teammates running with him. So like you're talking about the next level down of offensive of transition scoring. But then you're also talking about the best transition passer ever, probably. Plus this ability to just create transition out of things that you wouldn't really expect. Like we talked about, they ran off a foul, like an offensive foul, and they ran off it. I feel like that just shows how good of a like a running a transition team the Lakers was. Like they could run off anything. They ran off makes, they ran off fouls, they ran off anything they could find. So like we've glazed Magic Johnson for the last like hour and a half. So I hope whoever is out there watching that we gave the respect and the props that Magic Johnson truly respects, like deserves. Because he is maybe the best offensive player ever. And I think we'll probably leave it in that and just I don't
Yeah,
know
I
next week or the week after we could either talk about Bird or we could talk about maybe your guy Kobe. Next week,
not
if you're
Bird.
not
Let's go Bird first.
let's go Bird first. If you're not totally against it, maybe next week we'd actually talk about something more current. That could be tanking, because tanking is obviously a very, very big, um, what do you say, very big topic in the NBA right now, and I have some
Mm,
solution for it
okay,
coming.
that's nice. We can talk about tanking. Um, I also want to say something about Magic. I
Yes,
am one of those who still believe he's the greatest point guard of all time. I still have him over Steph, mainly due to the consistency, because Steph is like injured every other year. He's very unpredictable when it comes to availability compared to Magic. Um, and his lows are lower. Like Steph's lows that aren't even mentioned are worse than Tragic Johnson. So, um, so again, like, yeah, that's to me, he's still the greatest point guard of all time. That's so yeah, we covered the greatest point guard of all time today. Um, One of the greatest offensive players ever. Yeah, that's. I don't know if we'll continue this series first and then get to something else, or do you want to talk about topics between the episodes in that series?
I think if there's something come up, we could maybe talk about it every other week because it also gives us time to really like watch through these players. So
Yeah,
we
that's a
have
good idea.
something
Yeah.
very noteworthy. I think 1 week turnaround could maybe be, unless it's like a player you really have a lot of in your mind. Like for me, it really helped just watching through these guys, through like Magic, like a game from every year. So I had something really tangible to come up and talk about. But I'll say, let's try next week. It will either be Sunday or Saturday. We'll figure it out. I'll text it out somewhere.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about tanking because, from an economic point of view, I have some good solutions to how the NBA could maybe curve it. And until then, this was Unethical Hoops, the Hall of Famers with Drago and Bulletproof. Have a good one, guys.
Peace out.